How moves by kings shape today's market. Imagine waking up tomorrow to find every investment you've ever made, your bank deposits, your crypto holdings, your pension fund, has quietly shifted in value overnight. No news, no crisis, no warning. Just changed. Now imagine learning that the cause of this seismic economic jolt wasn't a central bank, wasn't the IMF, and wasn't Wall Street, but a decision made hundreds of years ago by a royal king wearing silk robes, holding a scepter, and believing he spoke with divine authority. Impossible? Unlikely? And yet, it's already happened. Many times. From the price of gold to the dominance of the US dollar, from stock market panics to commodity shortages, today's modern financial system is quietly shaped by the decisions of ancient monarchs, long-dead rulers who never imagined a globalized economy. This is the story of how kings, driven by greed, ambition, insecurity, and even pure fear, set in motion the forces that govern our markets today. Not through magic, but through cause and effect across centuries. And by the end of this video, you'll understand not only how their moves still shape your daily financial reality, but also why governments today are repeating the exact same patterns, almost step for step. Let's begin. Gold, power, and the first market manipulators. Before the idea of the market existed, before stocks, bonds, commodities, or even stable currencies, there were kings. Kings who had one thing in common: unlimited power over money. In ancient kingdoms, money wasn't controlled by a banking committee, nor audited by accountants. Money was political, and it was personal. The origin of economic power, metals and monarchs. Centuries ago, markets didn't decide the value of gold or silver. Kings did. A king could declare, "This coin is worth more than that one. This metal is now sacred. This silver coin is now only 50% silver but still worth the same. Anyone refusing my currency will be punished." With one royal decree, markets shifted instantly. But kings weren't just rulers, they were also borrowers. Their kingdoms constantly needed money for wars, palaces, armies, monuments, and sometimes personal lifestyle excesses. So, whenever money got tight, kings turned to the oldest financial trick in the book: debasement, the first inflation. Debasement was simple. Step 1, melt coins. Step 2, mix in cheaper metals. Step 3, stamp fresh coins with the king's face. Step 4, pretend nothing happened. If you think inflation is bad today, imagine waking up to discover your coins have half the silver they had yesterday. Yet people had no choice. The king's money was the only money. Kings effectively became the first central banks, and the first market manipulators. But the consequences of their decisions didn't stay within their kingdoms. They spread. And this is where the modern market unknowingly began. How royal moves created the foundations of global markets. Case Study 1. King Croesus, the first to standardize money. Around 550 BCE, King Croesus of Lydia created the first standardized gold and silver coins. For the first time in history, trade became predictable. Prices became measurable. Kingdoms could trust foreign coins. Merchants could plan long-distance trade routes. Today's global currency system, where markets price commodities, calculate interest, and measure GDP, descends directly from Croesus's move. But Croesus also created something else. A dangerous precedent. He proved that whoever controls the currency controls the economy. A lesson kings and governments never forgot. Case Study 2. Emperor Nero, the world's first inflation crisis. Nero famously reduced the silver content of Roman coins to pay for his extravagant projects. By slowly diluting silver, he triggered surging prices, collapsing trust, a panicked population, a financial crisis century ahead of its time. Markets reacted violently. Trade slowed. Merchants demanded more coins for the same goods. And once trust evaporated, Rome's unstoppable rise began to wobble. Today, when central banks print more money, markets react the same way. Currency weakens. Assets rise. Trust declines. Investors flee to safety, often gold. Nero's move created the first template for modern inflation crises. Case Study 3. Henry VIII, the king who invented market manipulation. Henry VIII didn't just debase coins, he aggressively tampered with England's money supply. He reduced silver content so drastically that his coins became known as the Great Debasement. Prices soared. Wages collapsed. The public called his currency base money, the medieval version of calling a currency toilet paper. And yet, the economy kept functioning because people had to accept what the king issued. Modern parallel? Governments today manipulate interest rates, currency exchange rates, bond yields, money creation. The playbook hasn't changed, only the clothes. When kings accidentally built global finance. Here's where the story takes a twist. For centuries, kings manipulated money to solve immediate problems. But eventually, these royal decisions started shaping something bigger, systems that outlived them. This is how kings unintentionally created global finance. The birth of central banks. King William III. In 1694, King William III of England needed money for war. A massive amount of money. Parliament refused to raise taxes further, and the kingdom was practically bankrupt. So, a group of merchants proposed a radical idea. We will lend you money, if you let us create a bank that can issue currency backed by debt. This became the Bank of England, the world's first true central bank. Today's government bonds, national debts, and monetary policy all trace back to this moment. A king desperate for war funding ended up accidentally creating the world's most powerful financial invention, sovereign debt. But there was another ripple. Now private lenders, not kings, influenced markets. The center of power shifted, from palaces to banks. And this shift would eventually reshape the entire global economy. The breaking point, when royal moves crashed economies. Kings didn't just build global finance. They also destroyed economies with disastrous choices. Breaking point example 1. The Spanish Price Revolution. Spain, under King Charles V and King Philip II, flooded Europe with silver from the New World. At first it seemed like unlimited wealth. But something unexpected happened. Too much silver drove prices up. Food prices tripled. Wages stagnated. The cost of living exploded. It was the world's first hyperinflation-like event caused by a king's economic decision. Markets reacted violently. Spain's wealth evaporated into thin air. A perfect example of how flooding the market with easy money leads to collapse. A pattern repeated in Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Argentina, and even modern quantitative easing. Breaking point example 2. Louis XIV and the French debt crisis. Louis XIV built Versailles, fought expensive wars, and lived extravagantly. To fund it, he borrowed heavily. For decades. Then more. Then more. By the time Louis XVI inherited the throne, the financial system was so over-leveraged that one spark triggered a revolution. Not a metaphorical revolution. A literal revolution. France's inability to manage royal debt directly led to the collapse of the monarchy, social chaos, war, and the modern French banking system. The lesson? Debt always comes due. Even for kings. Even for nations. Today's global debt crisis, over $300 trillion, echoes this same pattern. Fallout: how royal decisions created today's market rules. When monarchies collapsed or economies crashed, society learned painful lessons. These lessons shape today's financial rules. Fallout 1. Separation of money and power. After centuries of royal manipulation, societies realized something. Money controlled by kings is unstable. So slowly, over centuries, power was taken from monarchs and handed to parliaments, central banks, professional economists, regulatory institutions. But did this end manipulation? No. It only changed the players. The throne became a boardroom. The scepter became a pen. The crown became policy. And the manipulations continued. Fallout 2. The gold standard, a direct response to royal abuse. For thousands of years, kings abused monetary power. So, nations decided on a strict rule. Money must be tied to gold. No exceptions. No manipulation. It was the ultimate anti-king system. And yet, it didn't last. Why? Because governments wanted flexibility. And gold doesn't bend. In 1971, the last major link between money and gold was cut. The age of the king was reborn, just with new faces. How modern governments repeat the king's mistakes. Everything kings once did, debasement, manipulation, excessive borrowing, is now done in sophisticated, sanitized ways. Quantitative easing. Artificially low interest rates. Currency devaluations. Bailouts. Bond monetization. Politically motivated spending. The methods changed. The game did not. Let's look at some modern parallels. Parallel 1. Money printing. Kings diluted coins. Modern governments print money digitally. Same effect, different technology. Inflation rises. Savings fall. Assets inflate artificially. Nero would be proud. Parallel 2. Debt addiction. Louis XIV overdosed on debt. Today's nation-states do the same. Global debt now exceeds $300 trillion, the highest in human history. Once again the bill will come due. Parallel 3. Political control of currency. Kings demanded citizens accept debased coins. Today governments freeze assets, manipulate interest rates, enforce capital controls, adjust inflation targets, mandate currency acceptance. The spirit of royal control lives on. We've replaced crowns with committees, but the power is the same. Modern parallels with shocking data. Here are some patterns that prove kings' mistakes repeat today. 1. Inflation behaves the same way. Ancient Rome's inflation crisis lasted centuries. The Spanish silver hyperinflation lasted decades. Today, many currencies lose 10 to 20% purchasing power yearly. The numbers change. The behavior does not. 2. Debt cycles repeat every century. France collapsed under royal debt. The Ottoman Empire defaulted multiple times. Today, sovereign defaults remain common. Debt always rises until the system breaks. 3. Power still determines value, not the market. Just like kings decreed coin values, modern institutions influence. The US dollar, oil prices, gold reserves, interest rates, global trade routes. The throne still shapes the market. Only now it's called the Federal Reserve, the ECB, the PBOC, or the IMF. 3 takeaways. Takeaway number 1. Markets are built on ancient decisions. From Croesus's gold coins to William III's central bank, today's financial system is built on royal choices made centuries ago. Understanding markets means understanding the kings who shaped them. Takeaway number 2. Human behavior has not changed. Kings manipulated money out of fear, ambition, desperation, and greed. Modern governments do the same. The technology changed, not the psychology. Takeaway number 3. Patterns repeat because incentives repeat. Debasement, debt, manipulation. These patterns repeat because leaders always need more money, more liquidity, more control. And markets always react the same way. A final warning. The same decisions that once collapsed ancient kingdoms are being repeated on a global scale. Massive debt, aggressive money printing, currency manipulation, geopolitical competition. History doesn't repeat perfectly, but financially, it rhymes with terrifying accuracy. If you want to understand the financial world, not just the headlines but the centuries-old forces shaping every market move today, then stay with this channel. Like the video, share it with someone who needs to understand the patterns, and subscribe to World Financial Mysteries for more deep dives into the hidden forces shaping our global economy. Because the moves kings made centuries ago still shape your financial future, whether you notice or not.